You are listening to the Gritty Podcast, where we talk about all things gritty. Welcome to the Gritty Podcast. I am your host, Brian Call. I've got my co-host here, Brad Hunt. And today's podcast is with some dear friends of mine who own CrossFit Gritty. Mm-hmm. Keith and Shelle are I guess I met him 9 years ago or so, maybe 10. And
you went to school with Shelle,
I went to school with Shelle and high school. Keith owned a CrossFit gym called Happy Valley CrossFit in Oregon. It's really the first gym that I went to in CrossFit. And I found a home there in a community that was phenomenal. And Keith's programming is pretty, like on point. Some gyms you go to, they just throw random stuff on the wall. There's not like a real thought out plan over the course of months and years to make you stronger, fitter. There's some genius in programming, and Keith did that. And I took it for granted at the time because I just found a home in a community in Happy Valley. And from there, Keith was taking what fitness I came to the table with and honing it into something so much greater in a way that I didn't even know. I didn't know that Monday built on Tuesday, and that Tuesday built on Wednesday built on Monday and Tuesday, and the recovery times and the workouts. It's all like built in so that you have maximum results, minimum injury. And it wasn't until years later that I realized how profound that was, and how much Keith walks around the gym making sure you're doing the right moves in the gym, why that matters, how much he cares about true strength and form, technique, and all of that, how he's very controlled in bringing people up so you don't have injuries and things like that. So we get into that discussion quite a bit. They're out of Ogden. They basically bought a gym in Ogden, and they were like, hey, can we name it Gritty? I'm like, hell yeah. So now you have CrossFit Gritty out of Ogden. If you're in the area and you want a gym to go to that you can trust with someone I can vouch for, check that out. Go to CrossFit Gritty. Sign up.
I've actually enjoyed CrossFit as of late.
Yeah, Keith, Brad has come each time, and I mean, what's your experience? It's
like from other gyms I've been to, and then being around Keith and Shelle, like especially Keith, he's caring, and he really pays attention to your strong points, your weaknesses, and then really focuses on how to grow and strengthen your weaknesses and do it without getting hurt. Like it's been great. I really actually have enjoyed it a lot.
We'll be heading down to the gym. We go down there a couple days a week when we're not in the mountains hunting, and we've been we want to get a few more podcasts like this to really get into more details for those that can't make it to a gym like this, still be able to impart the value and the information that Keith has in his mind, and Shelle as well. But one of the other great things is we human beings need community. Community is super important. I think the lockdowns that occurred were super deleterious to society in the way that they prevented us from being in our communities and interacting. And it's an important part of human nature to have that. And when Suzanne, my wife, when she got cancer, the Happy Valley CrossFit community rallied around us, did fundraisers. They were like extensions of it. Was just such a beautiful place to be, and for them to take for them to take care of us the way that they did still touches me today. And if you have someplace where you can go and do a little shared suffering and little workouts together with people that you connect with, it's a beautiful thing. And not every gym and every community can be developed like that. Yep. But sometimes people come along and they have a knack for it. And Keith and Shelle are those people. And it's such a strength to be part of a community like that, like a little family, just outside your normal family. Yep, and it's so fun. And then, of course, I'm competitive, so I like to rub in every time I beat Shelle in a workout, and it's an ongoing competition. And if I don't show up on a day I'm supposed to be there, I'm going to hear about how weak I was that day, and a little bit of shame goes a long way.
Mark my words, one of these days, I will beat Brian in burpees. And maybe when he's like 65, but I may beat him in burpees.
You got a long way to go, brother. So anyway, I can't recommend heading down there enough if you're in the area, but in the meantime, for those of you interested in fitness and health and wellness, check out this episode with my dear friends, Keith and Shelle, owners of CrossFit Gritty. And I hope you get out of it something meaningful like I have that relationship. So thanks for tuning in and stay gritty. Folks, welcome to the Gritty Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Call. I've got Brad Hunt here beside me as the co-host, and our guests today are Keith and Shelle Zimmer. And they think they know a thing or two about, I don't know, exercise, fitness.
I know everything.
A little bit, yeah.
We go way back. We've been friends forever. Shelle and I went to high school together. Yeah. High school. You guys are old.
We are.
Was it in a building?
Guess what
or
year
like
this is? Should I say?
Yeah.
30-year reunion this year. Are you going?
Should I?
Heck yeah.
When is it?
You're freaking famous.
That would be.
And then we'd know somebody there.
Yeah, seriously.
She's trying to get me to go, so if you go,
really
I'll go.
I want to go.
I'd go. Yeah.
Okay. 30 years.
That's
We're
interesting.
old.
They'll probably have
I'm almost 50.
Season.
It probably is. I'm pretty sure it is during hunting season. Never mind.
we might squeeze it in. But yeah, so we have known each other a long time. And then I met Keith in, I don't know, 2012, 10?
Probably 12-ish.
12-ish?
12-ish.
Probably,
Maybe, yeah.
And I had been doing CrossFit out of Bryce's yard.
Yep, I've seen it. Yeah.
For a
the
couple,
best gym.
It
yes,
was.
for a couple of years, I had been doing CrossFit in Oregon City at Bryce's house. Before that, it was like a lot of P90X videos in the tree house and just on the property, in the backyard. And then, a little Planet Fitness type stuff. Then it was CrossFit at Bryce's house. And when we got way into that, to where I could do, muscle ups on the rings, and the weight had gone up and everything. And somehow or another, Anthony was in town and he said, I want to go to a CrossFit gym. My buddy Anthony, our friend from high school. Yep. And so he's like, I'm going to Happy Valley, this CrossFit gym across town. Do you want to join me? And I'm like, sure. So whenever Anthony went out of town, he's a police officer, and he was in training here or there. He would go to different CrossFit gyms in the town.
Sure.
So I went over there and I did a workout, and the gym vibe was really cool. I went to Oregon City once or twice, and it was like a lot of people with money, with Porsches. And then we went to CrossFit Happy Valley. It was a lot of first responders and blue collar workers and and Harley bikers and stuff. Yeah. It was very tattooed, right?
Yeah.
And Happy Valley was like all like plastic surgery, or I mean, not Happy Valley, Oregon City. Yeah. And anyway, both are great, but I thought, man, this is my people right here.
Yep.
And right off the bat, I just kept coming back to that gym over the years, little by little, until CrossFit Happy Valley became family for me. And when Suzanne had cancer, your gym basically.
You make us all cry, Brian.
You made all our meals for us, came to the house. You were as much a part of it, and sometimes in many ways more so than our own church community, which was also very close and supportive. And we did a fundraiser at Happy Valley for Suzanne and raised a bunch of money, did some GoFundMe type stuff. And then over the years, my CrossFit journey, a lot of it is due to my experience in that family that was at Happy Valley. So here we are, fast forward all these years, and I have this podcast thing I do, and I've been trying to corner you onto a podcast for years. Yeah. And you guys have dodged and dodged.
We have escaped.
Luckily, you just told us we were going to do this 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, I told Brad, I'm like, I'm not telling him that I'm going to do it till right when we're going to do it.
Do you notice I don't answer your calls when you're like, hey, I want to do a podcast? Like,
silence.
Don't answer him.
Oh, I know. So I'm glad we're here today and get you on the podcast. What is pretty cool is you guys bought a gym recently. How long has it been? A few months?
Yeah, November.
November.
Last year, yep.
Bought a gym in November. It's in Ogden, Utah.
Yep.
And you named it
CrossFit Gritty.
CrossFit Gritty.
CrossFit Gritty.
I love that name.
I can't imagine why.
Yeah. It's special to us. When we sold the other gym, we always said if we were going to redo it, we'll have to get Brian's permission. And
I don't even think we got the question all the way out. And he was like, yes, that's so cool. Yes, do it.
Yeah.
You guys are about an hour from my house here in Ogden because I live in Cache Valley. But my goal has been to come down at least once a week and try to hit the gym, if not more. It's a bit of a out of the way, but I love the, I'll say, I think that Keith, you too, Shelle, but Keith kind of has a knack for building community at a CrossFit gym.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, you like him.
Kind of.
Still
Still.
the same? I don't care. I'll take it.
No, but for real, like, there's I've been to a lot of gyms, a lot of CrossFit gyms over the years. And what I have learned is, they're all different and they very much reflect the leadership of the owner of the gym or or the people who are doing the instruction. And, Brad has come to the gym a few times. The warm-ups, the skills workout, the WODs, that formula is not followed at every CrossFit gym.
No.
Not even close. The gymnastics. I've been to a number where it feels like the programming really isn't that well thought out. Yeah. And
we've ran into that too.
People just come and grind and go home broken.
Yep.
And I'll say this too, to kind of cut in is, I'm not acquainted with CrossFit that much.
Yeah.
But you want to go do dumb farm boy deadlifts and heavy stuff like that? Sure. I'll crush it.
Yeah.
But where I don't, my forte is not technique and I'm very appreciative of you guys because you have taken the time to do that with me.
Sure.
Where I'm like, a lot of times I'd go to a CrossFit gym. I've been there like a handful of times and I'm wrecked afterwards because I don't know the correct techniques,
Yeah.
Sure. And you've taken the time to really walk through that. So
I think too, a lot of programmers think, or they fall into that CrossFit curse is more is better. And when you're puking, that's how you win.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the sign of accomplishment. And I don't actually think puking is a good thing. I think it's funny when it happens. Unfortunately, I do laugh a little bit, but I don't think it's good for
you.
you.
It doesn't. No. Yeah, we don't see it very.
It's
often.
not programmed to do that.
And there's usually a certain one or two people that they just go out too hot. And
I honestly thought you were that. Because you're gung ho and you're excited about it.
But I do know how to kind of control myself. I'm like, I'm like, okay, I want to compete with Brian, but at the same time, yes, I'm trying to keep up.
100%.
At the same time, I still know like what my abilities are just from playing sports.
Yeah, you listen to. You also listen to coaching. So
coachable people are our favorites.
Oh, I will say this
because there are a lot who aren't.
I try and practice that with my children, my boys, because I'm like, you can be really good, but if you're not coachable, you'll never succeed. Yeah. I'm sorry. Your ability will only take you so far.
Yeah.
But
so you guys own this gym now, and if people want to come and work out here, they can become a member, sign up. What are your rates and stuff like that for people that might be interested? Do you guys have like a punch card, or is it monthly? What do you guys do?
We do sell a punch card. The most popular is just the monthly membership.
Okay.
Unlimited. You can come to however many classes a week you want and whatever time you want. And it's a monthly membership.
Now, when you guys ran CrossFit Happy Valley and then you guys sold the gym, years ago, did you think you'd do another gym down the road?
I swore I would never do it again. Because like when you were talking about I'm good at a community, I get involved with humans. And when I decided that we were going to do something else, we were going to go into real estate, it was kind of a relief because then I could just be myself. I didn't have to
care.
I didn't have to care about people. And honestly, like I think I care about our clients more sometimes than they do. And I get involved with them. I'm in their business. Like if they say their dream or goal, and I have a plan for them. If they,
us old people, we have watched shows like Cheers
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah.
Hey, I've even watched cheers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you got, you know, the bartender
Yeah.
behind the bar that just like is everybody's best friend,
Yeah.
you know, and they all come to hang out for that community.
Yep.
That's Keith. He's the
Yeah.
bartender.
Well, and that's
Like-
how that's funny that you say that, because that's how we want the gym to feel. We want it to feel like cheers.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We
Every
want
time
you-
somebody walks in, that's why I 100% yell everybody's name. Like Norm. Remember when he used to walk in?
Yeah.
Everybody. Yeah. It was good.
It's been that way. And so I missed it. I really missed it. And I'm looking forward to, I'm glad you guys moved to Utah. I'm glad you're just in my backyard, really.
Yeah.
And that you're building that community now. How has CrossFit Gritty been as far as members and
Really
growth
good.
and
Growing way quicker than we
community?
thought. Yeah. And
I-
it's,
Keep going.
you go ahead.
I swore that I wouldn't be Happy Valley again because I love those people. So when we started this, I was going to be all Mr.
Professional.
Business and no friends. I was just going to keep it above board. But
They broke him quick.
yeah, the kids,
They're like
the-
your family.
They really are.
Yeah.
I've
Right,
only
and-
known you since last Wednesday.
Yeah.
And I can already tell that that's not the person
It's
you
not.
are.
No.
It's not.
It
And
is.
I don't.
No,
and I
he
don't think I
tried to
know how
put
to
that
be
guard
like
up,
that.
but-
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's funny when I first met Keith, you know, we clicked right away. We were hanging out talking. I had so many questions, and then because I didn't do any formal CrossFit, it was just CrossFit main site on the internet,
Right.
and then Bryce and I would compete against each other, kinda, and do stuff. Although we're so different, my brother-in-law and I, that what he was good at, I couldn't repeat, and what I was good at, he couldn't repeat. So we couldn't compete that hard against each other
Sure.
because I just dominated in
Yeah.
areas that he didn't, and vice versa. We're
Yeah.
so opposite. It's like, I'm like, oh, I'll never be able to deadlift like that, and he'll
Yeah.
never be able to clean and jerk like this. And
Yeah.
so we just had fun.
Mhm.
But getting down to CrossFit Happy Valley, it was my first time in a formal setting to really ask a coach, am I doing this right?
Sure.
You know, all I'm doing is watching YouTube, and then Bryce records me with his phone, and then he's like, it looks good to me. Look at this video of you doing. And then I look at it going, no, my butt's a little tucked in here, whatever. And we would kind of critique each other. Then I got to hang out with you and learn from you directly. And it's so ironic because at that time there was no Gritty. I hadn't done a podcast or done anything.
You had a real job.
I just did IT, and I worked from
Yeah.
home a lot.
Yeah,
worked
you
from
did.
home.
You were at the gym a lot. I mean, I don't know if I'm ratting you out, but
It's over
you-
now.
Doesn't
Like
matter now.
Yeah, you were at the gym.
I pretty much spent a lot of time at the gym,
Yeah.
especially for years because, and you were telling me the other day how he knew I napped in the middle of the day at the office. You know, look, it's not like unlike the Twitter, a day at the life of Twitter.
Yeah.
You seen those videos where they're like, well, I got this wine and I slept in the sleeping room and I
Yeah.
got a massage. I mean, I was on the front end of that, and so it was like no one paid attention. You
Sure.
know,
Yeah.
it was pretty. It's a nice corporate life. It really was.
I remember asking you, "What are you doing today?" I'm at work right now. I'm like, you are? You're at the gym, bro.
And I would go hunting or to the
Yeah.
beach or
Yeah.
whatever.
Funny.
And that went for years. And then, and so what happened was I got bored. I got bored with all the free time. You know that show, Bill Murray, one of the best shows of all time, Groundhogs Day.
Oh, yeah.
Groundhog Day, yep.
And you know how
Yep.
there's a evolution of him as a human being in that show where at first when he realizes
Right.
he's repeating the same day over and over again and how he could leverage that for his own gain,
Mhm.
then he's like landing chicks,
Yeah.
making money,
Yeah.
eating as much food as he wants.
Yeah.
I'm not the God, but I'm a God,
Yeah.
you know?
Yep.
So, and then he does that for a long time. And he's like, there's no meaning in this. It's empty.
Yeah.
Like I'm not making a difference. Like it's not fulfilling.
Mhm.
And slowly he goes through these different iterations. One point he's like, this is pointless. And he's like dropping toasters in the bathtub
Bathtub.
and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But after a while, when he realizes he can't kill himself, he's like, well, shoot, maybe he starts becoming a professional piano player. He goes out of his way to serve the community.
Yeah.
He finds all these meaningful activities to engage in. He tries to make a difference. He helps save the marriage of a young
Yep.
couple, the whole thing, right?
He knows the details of their life. everything.
Yeah. And I feel like when I had all that freedom, I was going through those stages a little bit. All I wanted to do was just go just do what I wanted to do.
Mhm.
Go to the beach, go do this, go hit the gym, work out all the time. have fun and that newfound freedom, right?
Yeah.
And still deliver at work, hit my deliverables. But once those were done, which I could finish in about 20 hours,
Quick.
the whole week was to myself,
Sure.
right? And then it just got to be where I stopped doing that kind of stuff and started just filming hunts and just filming things that I like to film and trying to for fun, for hobbies. I filmed a video for CrossFit Happy Valley.
Yep.
I did some for CrossFit Kids. I did just little videos of friends. Just wanted to make pieces of content that, might make a difference. And that evolved. And till I was podcasting with people about hunting, which was a natural interest of mine. And then pretty soon, it just became an actual career path. I was like, I could get paid doing this now. I couldn't juggle both jobs is what happened.
Sure.
It got to be where CrossFit or the career job and then the podcast job where I had to pick one. And naturally you pick the one that's
the fun one,
sure.
the fun
Yeah.
one.
the exciting one, the meaningful one, the one that felt, it was a big pay cut and kind of has been a pay cut for 10 years till right about lately.
I kind of know that feeling.
Yeah.
I'm kind of,
You got to put in the hours.
yeah,
I know.
I'm kind of at a point now where it's like, oh, okay, I can build wealth now. But for a long time, it was sacrifice and just sacrificing, income for meaning. And Suzanne's like, I'm here for it. That's okay. I don't need a big fancy house. I don't need fancy cars. I don't need, do what you love. But it can turn out, I think, when you do what you really love, that it can become at some point very wealth building as well.
Sure.
You just kind of can rise to the top if you're really passionate and good at what you love to do, or you put enough time. What do they say, 10,000 hours and you become like an expert?
Yeah.
Well, I got way past that now. So,
Same.
Yep.
Yeah.
so here we are, and you get the gym. What made you decide to, you said you weren't going to do it again. What
We
happened?
weren't. So we moved here 2 years ago, actually this month. And we tried should I say Vasa? The Globo gym thing. And it was awful. We're CrossFitters.
Yeah.
We're like, we just couldn't hack it. And so we're like, okay, let's find a CrossFit gym. So we've actually found one that was hiring coaches. We're like, perfect. We'll pay for our membership. And once we got in there and seen how it was ran and seen how crappy the programming was and the coaching was almost non-existent. We were just like, oh, this is bad. So we talked to the owner thinking maybe we could take on a leadership role. And then he was even like, hey, you guys could buy it. So then we kind of got the bug again. Honestly, we're kind of both control freaks a little bit.
Not me.
Him even more than me, but see, I'm nice enough to admit that I am too.
That doesn't make you nice.
But, no, probably not. But just circumstances didn't work out at that gym. So we were like, but I really think we want to open another gym. So we first started looking at just empty buildings. Like maybe we'll just start one from scratch. He did it before.
Yeah.
And then we happened upon this one that was for sale. Like they were just kind of just hanging on by the last threads. Like the owner was just ready to get rid of it, offering it to anybody and everybody. There was no coaches.
There was people coaching.
There were people coaching, but
just
they were not
members.
coaches. Yeah,
Whoever
they were
showed
members.
up, they would draw straws for who coached.
They would make up a horrible wad and then jump in with class. So the members were not being coached.
Okay.
And again, programming was horrible because it wasn't programming. They're just picking a horrible wad and
Whoever
doing
coached got to pick the program for that day.
So,
I know how that goes.
Yeah.
That's what Brian does when he's at home.
Right.
I tend to repeat
one
the
looks
same
good
stuff
at-
I'm good at.
Cleans and bench.
Do a lot of burpee.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what he
Burpees
said.
and
You guys
clean.
did 100 today. And he said, oh, I did that already.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, so we kind of did take on the leadership role. Like he was ready to just like,
He's
hand
an
it
awesome
over.
guy.
Oh,
There
he
was
totally is.
there was 3 owners when we showed up, and 2 of them had already kind of
kind of
vacated.
checked out. Yeah.
And so the one that was left, Gerald, amazing guy. He kind of reminds me of myself. He just kept it going because he loved the people.
Yeah.
But he was also ready to sell
Just done,
and kind of
yeah.
had moved on, but still loved the people that were here. So he held on. He held on way past his time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think he's still here. He still works out here.
Yep.
Super good guy. I like him a lot.
What is it that makes, why are some CrossFit gyms super successful, grow big communities, and some really struggle and can't keep membership? What is it that is a differentiator?
Before you answer that, and just from my side of things, I want to say, because you take the time to teach, I think people really appreciate that. I really do. Like, from going just to a few other CrossFit gyms and
Sure.
seeing it, you don't really see that often.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that you care
Yep.
And I
plays a role in
think-
that.
I think that plays a big role. I do think that plays a big role in it, that we care about people more than fitness. Fitness, if it's done right, is kind of simple after a little while. But if you don't care enough to teach people, we've been to 1,000 other gyms, and they just stand there and yell instructions at people. But until you break away and start talking to each individual in class, like, hey, what's going on? How do you feel about this? And you, like I did with you, and I dug a little bit deeper.
Your concerns for me were very high.
Yeah.
Because I don't have that CrossFit background.
They still
Absolutely.
are, right?
Absolutely.
My number one goal is not to destroy or crush people.
Right.
It's, can you come back tomorrow and the next day and the next day? And did you have fun?
Yeah.
And were you safe?
Well, and that's
the fitness.
exactly like last week when the first time I worked out in here, I went pretty light. And I even told this to Brian when we got home, and like, I was like, day 2 is always the worst. That's the one you're like the most sore.
Yeah.
Day 3. And I'm like, my cardio is good. Cardio's always been pretty good. My legs are always good. Upper body strength's always my weakness. And I was like, I'm not that sore, but my technique was correct. Like, that's what I'm working on right now, is my technique. Going back to like a regular gym, I despise
It's hard,
the
huh?
gym.
It's
Like, I
hard to go
despise
to a regular
that
gym.
environment.
kinda
Yeah,
thing,
I
yeah.
despise that.
Just throw it out
You know,
there.
He said it. He said it.
You get these meatheads, I'm
Yeah.
not a meathead,
Oh, yeah.
but I'm like, it's just not my thing.
Yeah.
Where CrossFit's always been like, it can be, it's a whole different environment that you start to appreciate the coaches and build a community.
Yeah.
Let
You
me
really
ask
do.
you this. What do you think? Fitness, we all kind of know in many ways what we should do to be fit, right? I have this philosophy. It's less about what to do and more about being motivated to do it, right? Because we kind of know we shouldn't pound McDonald's. We kind of know
Right.
we should get some sleep. We know we should drink water. We know we should probably exercise a good form and do a certain, like, that stuff. I think we all kind of know. That's not generally the issue that people have. The issue is motivation, accountability.
Yep. Well, and we always say that the hardest part of CrossFit is walking through that door. Once you're here, you're amongst friends. The coach is going to tell you what to do.
Hey,
it's like,
you want to go throw on a 180-pound backpack? Sure, we can be friends for life. I'll go do it. No problem.
No, there is some anxiety when I'm like, Brad, let's start hitting the gym once or twice a week. I want to help Keith and Shelle grow their gym. I want to be part of this community. And he's like, oh man, like just the trepidation of coming to the gym and grinding it out. And even today before the workout, you had a lot of people here. My sister Katie was here. She hasn't been in doing CrossFit for a while now, a couple of years. And before the workout even starts, everybody's got this like anxiety about the workout.
Yeah.
They're looking at it going, oh no.
I think the words burpees
yeah,
on the board are
always that does
Yeah.
it every time.
Sometimes when I write the program and I put it on the app, I just want to leave that out so it's a surprise when they get
Yeah.
here. But if you surprise them too much with hard stuff, they might be like, I'm not going no matter what.
This looks too easy.
It says
There's something
birthday
coming.
But the thing is like Shelle and I have always motivated each other.
Tried to kill each other?
That's what I'm going to call
That's
that.
a
Try to
good.
kill
That's
that.
a
Okay,
great word
okay.
to call.
Like,
If that's what you want people to believe,
when
it's
I-
your podcast, bro.
yeah, when I
Can
didn't,
we pull up all the pictures and put these?
seriously, when I didn't show up to Happy Valley, Shelle was like, hey, loser, what happened?
Where
Too
you
weak to
at?
show up today?
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah.
And that sort of accountability, I knew I needed to make it to the gym that day or because I was there to compete, and there's something to me, I think that's different when you go to like a global gym and there's no community, at least not like here.
Right.
When we did this workout today, everyone did the same thing and suffered the same misery.
Yeah.
And I truly believe in the brotherhood that's created from shared suffering.
100%.
There's something about it that bonds people in a way that very few things do. So when we hunt together and we've suffered together in some of the mountains, freezing to death, packing out night hikes, dodging grizzlies, those things,
they bind you together,
they
right?
make us besties for.
Yeah. And I will say this, that'll either make you or break you as a friendship.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Like you find out real quick who can't handle it, can't hack it, and who can. And those who can, you get a very good bond with.
Yep.
For sure.
And I think we're just natural, maybe CrossFitters, like a live on the edge, kind of raw, honest, friendly type of people. And I've never found that in any other gyms outside of CrossFit. And not every CrossFit is like CrossFit gym is like that, but the majority of them are.
Yeah.
And
to a point.
One thing that I noticed in CrossFit in general, man, I'm so grateful that I discovered CrossFit in the years I first came across it, when it was still early, when they were still doing the games at the very start of, the ranch and everything. And because, especially then, but I think today too, there were very few competitive activities where there wasn't trash talk involved, only positivity. And in so many ways, it felt like in the CrossFit space that, yes, we were competitors, but we were also fans of each other, like rooting for that person to succeed and that person. And it was a refreshing community to be part of, even on a broader scale. You could run into someone like Chris Spieler on the mountain and then have a podcast with him a day later, because he just is one of you trying to share what he loves about health and wellness. And we get it because we've suffered together doing similar activities, So I think there's something unique in the way that CrossFit builds community, but not every CrossFit gym can do it, right? Because I do think it is so dependent on the leadership that you can find there.
Well, another thing too, then you kind of touched on it, was, I think our audience appreciates it, but competition. Like when you have competition, it always makes you better, when you're lifting.
It can also injure you.
You can also injure you. Correct. Yeah, it can. But at the same time, like, it also can build you up.
Well, I think, like you said earlier, it either binds you instantly or really quick, or it separates you really quick.
What I've noticed, and just from being around CrossFit and knowing people that are really good at it and into it, you are good at one thing here, and you can get your freaking butt kicked over there. It's like with me, like our last workout last week, it was like, I knew there was a bunch of cardio. So I'm like, I'm going to crush. Like I'm going to be right there because I can do cardio. Then we get to the cleans and I'm like, oh gosh, dang it, this sucks. But it's such a wide spectrum. And, if you're doing it correctly, it definitely can make you much better in every avenue. And you know what you're weak at.
Well, and another thing on that same kind of subject, there's not a lot of things for adults to do to compete. You know what I mean? Like once you're through high school and college, if you don't make it to the pros,
you're not in collegiate sports.
You're not. I mean, you
got
there's
old
not
man
really
ball.
anything.
No.
Church ball. I mean, there is a little bit, here and there, but for the mass, for the masses.
Absolutely.
And I think that this really is it. And I mean, Keith and I both have been in the fitness industry pretty much our whole life. I mean, I have several different things. He still teases me about jazzercise, but hey, it kept me fit for years, and I met Suzanne there. But I mean, I've always needed something like that. And once I found CrossFit, I was like, oh my gosh, where's this been my whole life? It's awesome. I love every part of it. I love the competition part of it. I love the community part of it. I love the challenge. And then, like you said, like I can kill everybody at one thing and then get
come
killed
in last
at the other thing. So it's humbling. You can build, you build yourself up and then you're like, never mind.
I think it really helps you build athlete IQ, because the more what I mean by that is the more let's say you show up and you be part of a CrossFit community, you start to learn pacing what your pace is. I remember when I first went to CrossFit Happy Valley and we'd hit these, or even with Bryce in his yard, we'd hit it and I would go so hot right out the gate.
I think almost all of us went a little hot.
Yeah.
This first round.
Yes.
Not everybody gets a little jazzed when you show up because they're not used to it. So they're like, okay, I'm going to show off for Brian. I'm like, all right. CrossFit will teach you to slow down.
But I think that
it does teach you for sure.
I used to watch Rich Froning in a workout, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I'm watching, and you'll see some guys light out and be ahead the first, let's say it's a 30-minute workout. The first 10 minutes, Rich is getting his butt kicked.
Yep. He's in last place.
He's really far behind.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the last 3 minutes, he's ahead of everybody.
Yeah, because he never stopped, right?
He got that pacing, though. He got that IQ down. Like, he knows what he's doing, the math and calculus from the very start. Yep. And he knows himself and what the energy systems are going to do by feel or experience, so that when he's there at the end, he knows where he's at toward the end, what he can handle, where he can perform. Others, I think, with less experience, less knowledge about that, they can really fry themselves at first. Yeah. And I used to do it all the time, only to tank and drag my butt at the end of a workout going, oh, I screwed up bad. I screwed up really bad. Because I didn't know I didn't know my own body and my own abilities, and I didn't know the volume of the activity and what it was going to do to me physically. And so, but after 8 years of doing it, you start to really develop a knack. And one of the things that I feel like when I go, to put this into hunting, backpacking, outdoor activity, I know where my red lines are. I know when I'm tapping into destruction of my body for the next day or for the next 4 days. I know how long I can sustain a certain red line and then recover with a 30-minute break, and where I've crossed over to where I'm going to be really hurting the next day. Yeah. I also know that even though I'm running up a mountain with Ryan and I got a heavy pack camera gear and I'm hustling, I'm sweating like crazy, and this is a grind, and I am breathing so hard I can hardly function.
That's an understatement, people.
And I'm about to black out. Sure. I also know from experience that I can ride that verge of blackout for 2 hours, let's say.
Sure. Yep.
And I won't actually fall apart because I did it in a closed environment, a known environment so many times that other people would be afraid. But they're in that moment, they're like, I don't think I can do this. I need to stop. I need to slow down. They don't know this feels so painful. Like, I probably should mail it in. Yeah. That thing's just going to get away. The bear's gone. Yep. Let's forget it. But I don't have to do that because I'm like, oh yeah, I've been in this.
I've been here before.
I know what this feels like. Yep. I could do this for 2 hours. So it's going to take me 40 minutes to get to the top. I'm well in my window of capability. Sure. I've put myself here so many times. I know what this pain is. Who cares? It's just pain.
Yeah.
It's gone. 2-3 hours from now, I won't even care that this was killing me. Yeah. We were on the bar today doing those burpees over the bar. Talk about pain round 5, talk about pain. Yeah. Like, everything screams stop.
Yep.
It's like getting into an ice cold river. Like, you're like, get out.
Yeah.
And the challenge is saying, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm doing it anyway.
It's like we were talking about.
In 5 rounds, I'll take my break.
Yep. That's what we were saying after the workout. Like, it's not going to get, once you find your pace or your groove, I can just stay here. There's no reason to stop or look at the clock or go get water. It's just, this is where I'm at.
And I know that if I try to add maybe 3 extra burpees to that round, that when I get to the last round, I won't be able to crank out 10 or 12. Yeah. I'll be cranking out 4.
Yeah.
And the overall loss is actually greater by going too hard
in the
mid. So finding that pace where you can maximize your end result, which is what I care about at the end.
Yeah.
What after that 1 hour exertion, did I maximize my capability?
Yeah.
It doesn't do me any good to be badass the first 30 minutes and then just fall apart and have a 10% capability.
Miss the whole target, right? Like I missed everything.
That's my transition because I know what I can do in the mountains. Like I can hike, I can pack a load. Like my wind is good. And so I'm trying, and I think it is helping. I'm trying to transition that here because, you know, it doesn't seem that long, but 4 years ago is when the first time I worked out with Brian when we met each other.
Yeah.
And I remember then, I think if you took the same workout, I'd maybe get 30 or 35 burpees. I got 80 today.
Yeah.
And it's like
good job.
learning how to,
It's badass.
as you say, stretch it out.
Yeah.
It's like I would burn out because I just come out of the gate.
I got 102, just so everybody knows.
Everybody knows he had 102.
I think Brad got second place today or somewhere close.
I got third.
third place.
But
Not that it's a competition.
Never.
No.
it's always
Not even a
It's
little
always-
bit.
But that's the thing is, and I always say this, and everyone's like, well, don't compete with Brian. And I said, no, I do compete with Brian because one, it sets my bar higher. But then I also am still competing with myself because then I know, okay, this is where Brian's at and this is going to push me. But then I know my bar is right here and I can't go so hard that I'm just going to fall off.
Yeah.
But I'm still competing with him because it still gives me like what I need to push
Something to
for
shoot
and the
for.
drive, you
Yeah.
know? And so it definitely helps. And then obviously your guys' training and help,
Well, I
you know.
think too, like I think a gym nemesis or a gym buddy
Mhm.
is almost the best thing you can have. Somebody to chase or
sure.
somebody to try to stay in front of.
For sure.
Because I watched these guys work out for years and years together.
Yep.
And like Brian said, sometimes he would win.
Dude, I got beat by a girl all the time.
All the time.
If it was like, if
Yeah.
it was,
And she reminded him every time.
oh, dude, and if it was anything like really cardio heavy, I was like, oh man, like. But last week,
Yep. You got her.
You
it was
got
the
me.
barbell, right, for time, moving
Yeah.
heavy weight for time, and you were saying, well, maybe just drop it below RX and just go. And I'm like, no, this is where I crush Shelle into the dirt. This is where
Payback.
He said,
Payback.
he was like, Brian knew that if I scaled you both, you'd probably beat him.
Yeah,
But if you went heavy enough, because I can move a barbell pretty good too.
yeah, yeah.
Like I'm pretty strong, but
That's where I
You got
win
me.
though. On if it's a heavy load for time,
Mhm.
I can pretty much
Yeah.
win everybody
Yeah. Super strong. Yeah.
for time.
Yeah.
For like strength endurance is good for me.
Yeah.
I think that's why downhill hiking, you know, Ryan is an animal climbing uphill. It's like he just doesn't need oxygen or something, and he will take the same heavy load and will go up. But when it gets like when it's the more gradual, the more he's gonna out climb me. The steeper and steeper it gets, it becomes more of a strength activity than an oxygen activity.
Sure.
Because now you're doing like you're lifting the leg up to
Yeah.
your crotch as you're trying to climb. You're using your hands as well as your pack. And on downhill, it's the weirdest thing. I have to put on a coat because I'm cold because I'm not exerting any energy.
Sure.
Ryan is like,
Ryan is taking stuff
Orange
off.
sweat.
He's sweating. He's breathing hard and he's like wobbling a little
Yeah.
bit. And I'll get to the bottom and wait 10 or 15 minutes for him to get there. Downhill with a heavy load is literally like exertionless. Like, because I think it's a strength endurance activity.
Mhm.
And that does require, by the way, an oxygen system.
I was just going to say the energy system is oxidative system.
And I
You're better
crush
at it,
that.
yeah.
Like, that is my jam. Like,
Mhm.
for some reason, when it comes down to moving the bar, I see we do the clean or jerk or whatever. And let's say it's 10 reps. I see people at rep 3 sucking wind.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't get it. I'm not starving for oxygen at all. And then I get on the bike.
but then we
and
jump on the bike.
Everybody passes me. And I'm like,
Prime example, like last week, it was a workout like that, the barbell and stuff. And like, I knew Brian was crushing me on the barbell,
Yep.
but I knew when I got to the bike, I'm like,
You can catch him.
I'm
Yeah.
almost 2x. As
I
fast
actually
as he is on
do
a
owe
bike.
you an apology because I sabotaged
He
the
did. I think
race.
I would have
Because I
been
said
like,
you need to do 8 and it was 4. And he's like, you told me 8. I'm sorry, bro. I know we just met.
did all
I want to
8.
be your friend, but I didn't lie. I just didn't pay attention.
I love that's what I think though. Like when you do workouts like this, you are able to learn about yourself.
Mhm.
And I know what my strengths and my weaknesses are,
Mhm.
and I want to improve my weaknesses as well. But when I'm out on the mountain, I know because of my experience of physical activity, I know where I'm really good and where I'm not. And I used to get down on myself because I'd hike with somebody like Aaron, Ryan, like long-legged dudes who could go,
Sure.
long days, hardcore, and I could keep up, but I certainly paid the price more than they did.
Mm-hmm.
And they probably had a lot more left in the tank, and I was kind of redlining all day, you know?
Sure.
So over the years, I've learned, okay, like I know what I'm good at. And so where my abilities are. So I stay in my
lane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can tap into my own. I don't try to do something that someone else is really good at. I don't try to compete. I can't, it's
Sure.
just, it's not worth it.
Mhm.
And they don't try to compete with me either because we're built different.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think when you really get at a higher level of fitness, you start to learn, okay, you know, I am really good at X, Y, and Z.
Mhm.
I'm not good at this. I'll improve that, but I realize I can only get so much better in this area. Genetically, I'm a little different,
Mhm.
you know, and it's a lot easier than to deal with, you know, when you're as competitive as I am, like to deal with not being able to win
Sure.
everything. You know,
Sure.
I did that workout with Brian Barney years ago, and it was a run at the Western Hunting Summit and a run back, and then it was pairs of squats, like 100, and then it was 100 burpees, and you had to do them together. And Brian Barney just, dude, he was booking down, he's jogging, running this couple miles was the first part. And I was sucking wind so
Sure.
bad.
And Barney will just talk
And
to
Barney
you.
was just like, so
Yeah.
Brian, where are you from? And how are you doing? And he's chatting because he's the
Yeah.
friendliest, nicest guy on the planet. And I'm like, Brian. And I'm like, finally I said, you just keep talking. I have to focus on breathing.
Tell me a story.
And he's having a conversation. That's how easy the pace is
Yeah.
for him. But then we got to the burpees. And after 3 burpees, he's like resting. And we finished that workout and he's like, you're a beast. And I'm like, no, you're a beast. But the difference there was we have completely different skills, different bodies. And it helps to know that, you know, it helps to know that. And I still want to work on all my weaknesses, but I know within reason, I can only push them so far.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think in here it's easier. Well, maybe not easier, but it's maybe better to learn, like you said, in a controlled environment versus where you're making the big shot or the
Yeah.
money
Yeah.
shot, right? When you're out there, it's not time to experiment with your boundaries.
Right.
If you can figure that out in here, you might succeed more out there. And I think that's why CrossFit was invented. CrossFit, I love the games. I love regionals. I love local little competitions, but it was never invented for a sport of CrossFit. It
Yeah.
evolved into that, which is, I love it, but it was made to be a better human outside of the gym,
Functional.
a better hunt.
Functional
Yes,
fitness.
yeah, 100%, right? What can I do
And it really is.
outside of the gym?
One of the things that why I like your programming. And I think this sets you apart from, I mean, I've been to a lot of CrossFit gyms over the years. The one thing that was always an emphasis at Happy Valley was strength.
Yep.
Strength.
100%.
And man, everyone is WOD focused. Workout of the day, and it's some cardio Murph type thing. And
Yep.
you just
An
like
hour long.
long sweat fest.
Yep.
And
I don't think it's good for people.
I don't either.
Not every day.
That's
No.
why I think the programming you do is so beneficial. That's why I think I became more and more of a badass as I did CrossFit Happy Valley, and CrossFit Happy Valley athletes performed better.
Yep.
Because the programming was more intelligent, more forward. It was about you performing better outside of that gym, whether you're wakeboarding and doing backflips like Mike and all this kind of stuff, or you pick your athlete that's there. We were all outdoor people,
Yep.
but we were in the gym
Developing
those
and
skills.
strength. Yeah.
And the thing that I want to focus on is I'm not getting any younger. And the joint, the low back, the shoulder mobility, strength, all that kind of stuff. I feel like too many gyms neglect those things and actually degrade the performance
100%.
of the people coming to the gym.
Yep.
I mean, everybody's heard the bad reputation of CrossFit. And I think some gyms, if they don't spend time learning how to program, or the owner or whoever does their programming, they don't spend time thinking or caring or worried about this is going to last for 20 years. We're going to be friends until we're old. And I don't want my buddies to be busted. It's just not good for the human body to overdo that joint
you've
work
been doing
over and over and over.
You've been in the fitness space a long time. You did a bunch of bodybuilding. You were hanging out with Nick the trainer dude.
Yeah, Nick the trainer dude. I love him.
So you guys were
What up? Yeah, I love it.
What's that background? What was that from?
I honestly just gym bro Vasa days. I loved it. I loved it. Like if now my default is deadlifts or squats, but back in the day, if I didn't know what I was going to do in the gym, it was always bench day. Always bench day. And Nick, I just happened to live in the same town Nick lived in. He is literally the most positive, happy dude you will ever meet, ever. Like once you meet him, you'll never forget Nick, the trainer dude. And I was in the gym I would go to the gym, but when I hated cardio, just to see Nick, because every time you see him, hey, what up? And he's just a super positive guy. So, that's how I met him. But back in the day, that's all I did was arms and bench.
You did a lot of bodybuilding type stuff. So contrast that with what CrossFit brought to the table and how you made that journey from one to the next.
So I moved to Bend, Oregon, and I know I needed cardio because I was sluggish on cardio days. Really bad. Worse than now.
Still the sluggish.
There's no way he was worse than now.
I was worse than now. Shelle calls me the buffalo because I just walk and I can walk through a wad.
Yeah.
But the time cap always stops me. I have yet to
go. He is like a buffalo. He's slow, but he could go forever.
Yeah.
Like your red line is up here. Like you're maybe at a level 10. My red line is a 1.5, but I can go as long as you. But just like if we were hunting around the forest, I'd be like, just go ahead. I'll be there tomorrow.
Be there in a minute. Yeah.
Yep. Or an hour.
But keep your flexibility, your mobility, your joint strength, and your weight, what you can move. I can't do that. I can't snatch like that. I can't clean. It's that's again knowing your blessings and your gifts are not the same as someone else.
Yeah. Sure.
He's weirdly
I just have
mobile.
good proportions from joint to joint is good.
You don't have abnormally long femurs.
I spend a lot of time lifting weights and practicing on myself a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot of injuries his
technique is great, but his mobility is amazing. Like it's not even normal.
Yeah. It's really cool to watch because I don't look that pretty.
No. No, I don't. I'm a girl. It's not fair.
No, I think when you, like you said, injuries and over time and doing it, you get that mobility and you have to work on it. Because even like when I was rodeoing and stuff, I kept pulling my groin a bunch. Sure. So I got to where I started doing like some gymnastic stuff and just for the stretching part of it. And then before you know it, I was able to do the splits. And I didn't have those tears anymore. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But then when last week, I noticed when we were doing the cleans and stuff, I'm like, oh, my wrists. Like
if they go back, they get tight again.
It's hard for me to get here, Yeah. And so I think over time you work that and you get better at it. But again, it goes back to the technique and the training that you guys do.
Sure. And I think too, like what you were saying about strength is I've always been cognizant that someday I'll be old and older people, that's one of the first things you lose is your grip strength, and your ability to just jump. Yeah. And so I've always been a little nervous about getting old myself. So that's why I spend a lot of time trying to make everybody as strong, as safe, as strong as possible today. And hopefully that'll last until we're 90. And I believed Glassman when he said, when you're 90, you should be able to pick up a carton of milk or your groceries and carry it. So, but if today I can get to, I'm going to lie and say a 650-pound deadlift, which I can't do, but it's my dream. If I can get that strong and maintain that safely, it's going to decline. But when I'm 90, maybe my deadlift is, I'll lie again, and it's 315. Right. But does that make sense? So if I'm as strong as I can get today,
we lose muscle mass as we age too.
And bone density.
And bone density. So if you can kind of stay a step ahead of that.
A few people have said to me, that hang out because Ryan's 49.
He's old.
I'm 48.
Oh, he's way old.
So
He's a year
Brian's
older
way
than us.
older than
y'all
me.
are old.
No.
I mean, we're getting up there, right?
You're lucky. You're around
knocking-
seniors.
Ryan's knocking on 50's door. His wife turned 50
Yeah.
this week.
Mhm.
So, one of the things that I know is you lose joint strength and bone density as you age. You lose muscle mass as you age. One of the things, though, people have asked lately, they're like, man, you don't work out as much, but yet you're still really strong. You still have all these capabilities. I genuinely believe that 15, 20 years of lifting and exercise builds up
A reserve.
a reserve that just doesn't go away
A
overnight.
base
Well, like,
that
right.
stays, yeah.
It just, because I don't work out hardly like I used to,
Mhm.
but it's like the 15 years I did, they don't just disappear overnight.
Mhm.
They're like permanent, it feels.
Yep.
Yeah.
It feels like now I work out once or twice a week sometimes,
Mhm.
and I can't get out like I want to,
Sure.
but I still have ridiculous reserves where before I'd get in shape and I'd lose it, and I get in shape and I lose it. And it was like, I'm so weak.
Sure.
But after years and years of consistency, I feel like I have built up something that I'm taking with me in older age.
Mhm.
Mhm.
100%.
You're so
I
right.
agree.
We actually were just talking about that.
And you talk about it a lot as farmer strength. Like if you meet an old
Dumb
farmer,
farm boy strength.
they are just strong forever. Like if you
Yeah.
shake their hand
Yeah.
at the anywhere, you're like, he does something
And-
physical.
And I think that happened incrementally, little by little,
Mhm.
little, year over year
Yep.
over year. It's
And
that,
that's why I
it's
don't
that
believe
slow
in
consistency.
crushing people.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
never going to gain anything today. It's going to take years of this strength
Mhm.
Yep.
forever.
That's how I feel when I come in here. Any gym experience at CrossFit, I don't really care how I perform today.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
I care how after 3 years of doing this, where I'm at.
Yeah.
Like I told Brad last week, I say it all the time, in fact,
Mhm.
scaling back and never getting hurt puts you miles ahead of pushing too hard and getting hurt and having to
Yeah.
wait and getting hurt and having to
recover,
wait and
yeah.
getting hurt and having
Yeah.
to wait. Like,
There's no consistency in that.
not
Well,
getting hurt is the king.
100%.
Is king.
For
I-
everybody.
Especially
Even
at our age.
20-year-olds. A lot of younger guys come in here and they're like, oh, I can afford that. You
Yeah.
cannot afford an
Mhm.
injury.
No.
My wife has an injury from when she was young. She broke her wrist. And now she's starting to feel it.
Mhm.
We're not 50, but later in life.
We are not 50.
So injuries also last, just like that muscle strength.
Yes.
So the less injuries you can cause when you're young and the damage you can do to your entire unit and your body.
Yeah. I've been taking, some of the people who follow the Gritty podcast, they know that I see a Dr. Hockey out of Boise.
Mhm.
He does helps me with my hormone replacement therapy. I have a really small amount of testosterone that I take each week to sort of up it. And the dose has gone down year over year. In fact, it's like I sort of jump started my own testosterone
Yeah.
production. And
Yeah.
now for some reason, I kind of don't necessarily need it at all. I'm back up to good numbers
Yeah.
without
Yeah.
taking an exogenous.
It goes along with what we're saying, right? You didn't abuse it.
Mhm.
You just used what you needed.
Yeah.
And now it's kicking in on its own, which is amazing.
Yeah, and he prescribed to me gonadotropin, which is sort of a thing that preserves your own testes' ability to produce testosterone. And so I had been taking that, and he said, for some people, that's all it takes is that, and then all of a sudden you spark your own production again. It like jogs your body's
Yeah.
ability to
Mhm.
do it because it was pretty chronically low, and then all of a sudden it was like, well, we got to drop your dose. We got to drop. And now it's like, I don't really use it very much. But one of the things that I was having issues with was I'd sprained my ankle a couple years back, and I had hurt my ankles in high school. I broke ankles in sports and stuff, and they've always, I got torn ligaments that healed, but those injuries are forever, and they sort of flare up sometimes if I'm not taking the right supplements, if I'm not having glucosamine, calcium, maybe CBD oil or whatever it is. And I was telling him, I have this, and then on my knee right here, I was packing out with Pedro, and it was just a long grind, and I don't know what happened, but when I got home, my knee was just swelling, just for no reason. I couldn't really there was no catastrophic moment where it happened. I just woke up and it was kind of swollen, and then it would go away, and then when I exercised, it would swell up, and there was something in here that was bugging me, and I said, what do you think, doc? And he said, here's some peptides. Take some of these peptides. One of them, he's like, I'm looking at your blood work, and I'm seeing that your human growth hormone is a little low. I'd like it to be higher, just like 20% higher than where it's at for who you are and your age and all that. I'd like that higher. You'll recover better. You'll feel better. So we're going to give you, I'm going to have you take this peptide, inject it 5 days a week, and then this other one, BP 157, is a peptide for ligaments and for helping your tendons in your knee. And because this was really tendon related, it felt like ligament related. So I started taking those peptides. He said, take them for 2-3 months and then stop. He's like, a lot of older athletes are doing that. And then I looked it up when I got home, of course, and Joe Rogan had a couple podcasts and Huberman had some podcasts on these exact peptides he was telling me to take. So I'm like, all right. So I started taking those peptides. Well, their BCAAs is really what they are. They're branched chain amino acids. And
it's what your body already has. It just helps.
Just gives it more.
And for some reason, 20% or so people have like a narrowing of vision, hyperventilation. They get sick when they take BCAAs. I've been like that forever. So I'll take those BCAAs, but I'm sick for about 15 or 20 minutes. Like I'm like narrowing of vision. I get like vertigo and everything, and I got to lay down. And Suzanne's like, you shouldn't take that. I'm like, I'm a man.
I can take it.
But my ligaments.
But the results have been deeper sleep, faster recovery, no more joint pain, no more ligament pain.
Yeah.
So that's been kind of like, these are little things as I get older. I want to figure out these little hacks.
Yeah.
And I want to stay healthy and as fit as I can. And I feel bad for a lot of people out there who they are not proactive enough about their wellness. They don't even know maybe that they have a problem in their ankle because they don't push themselves to the point to find out. It's just an underlying like if I didn't push my body, I wouldn't know half the problems that I have with
I'll
it.
say this too, Brian, because I went and saw this 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago. You introduced me to Dr. Hockey. I went there. I was living over there at the time anyway. I went and saw him. And because I was like, I'm 30 years old at this time. And I'm like, I don't have the energy or mostly not necessarily the energy, but the drive to do things. And I'm like, what in the heck is going on? And so I went and saw Dr. Hockey. We did all my blood work and stuff. And he's like, hey, I'm prescribing you 15,000 milligrams of vitamin C every day. Your vitamin C was super low.
Wow.
My vitamin D was kind of low too. But then he's like, my problem was I was at the railroad and my diet is I was working and driving on the road 8 days a week.
Yeah.
And then my diet was crap. So I went to like a paleo diet and that changed real quick. Like everything on my drive, my testosterone, like, cause I was at 30 years old, I was sub 400.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which is
really
like
low.
the testosterone of like an 85-year-old guy in 1970.
Right.
And so like I noticed as soon as I changed my diet, because I was a sugar, I drink some soda, whatever. But as soon as I changed my diet, I swear my body just like instantly started recreating. I don't know if you can recreate testosterone,
Oh yeah.
But I
think it comes back.
Yeah. I instantly felt like way more energy, way more drive. The sex drive went way up higher.
Yeah.
Like everything just changed.
Yeah.
And I think just because of mainly diet, a couple other things, vitamin C, vitamin D, iron.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Coach Glassman, a long time ago, talks about a thing called the neuroendocrine response, where your body will be optimized based on your nutrition.
Yeah.
Dr. Barry Sears, the zone diet, and everybody kind of thought it was just Glassman talking fast or talking in circles, but I think it's 100% legit.
He blew my mind back then. Blew my mind. Like the whole paleo thing was blowing my mind. The getting off of the grains and the food pyramid was blowing my mind. All that stuff was so. And remember how much hate they got for that stuff?
Yeah. For a long time.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Well, and the other thing I'll say too is as you were talking earlier about the strength and stuff and only working out a couple days a week. But what a lot of people don't see is we both do this. And he's turned me on to this obviously from 4 years ago because I never used to. I was just like, go grind out, do whatever. and your muscles will recover. I never would roll out. I would never floss. I would never do those type of things. And, you know, we all the time, lacrosse ball, Theragun.
Yeah.
You've introduced me to flossing, you know, and I'm like, oh, it's kind of a game changer.
It might be one of the most important parts.
Is body work.
Absolutely.
After.
And so I look
Before
at,
and after.
as we talked about Rich Froning, like I secretly was kind of like, I didn't do it, but I watched the CrossFit Games and I watched Rich Froning and stuff. But then there were years for quite a long period where Froning was not there.
Sure.
Shoulder injuries or whatever. And it's like, I think you push so hard that, as you talk about the injury early on, pushing so hard, and then it hinders you from longevity.
Well, and these guys are athletes too, so
they're pushing it way past.
They're not doing it out of fitness as much as they're doing it to win, just like a football player or anything else.
Glory.
Yeah,
just like Ronnie Coleman. I mean, the guy's a legend. I mean, if you see him now on social media, a lot of people are like, well, I would never do that to my body.
Right.
You'll never be a legend either. It's okay.
Exactly.
It's
You'll never
worth
be
it to
Ronnie
him.
Coleman.
It was worth it.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's still
competition
super happy.
and fitness are different
Yeah.
things, even though they can overlap.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure. Well, we should wrap this up, but we barely scratched the surface of fitness, and I want to pick your brain a lot more. So we're coming down to the gym about once a week or so. Now I'm going to be in Alaska for a few weeks, so I'll be hit and miss. But yeah, I want to sit down and do a lot more podcasts because you're a wealth of knowledge on that, especially on the programming, the technique on
we
lifting.
didn't even touch on his programming.
Yep. So I want to get. I know. So I want to get into all of that. So folks, thank you for tuning in. Come check out Gritty. CrossFit Gritty. CrossFit Gritty. And you're in Ogden. So if you live local, come check it out. It's I can't recommend it enough. And then let's sit down and give the audience a little more information.
Good luck catching me again.
We'll get
we'll
you.
get you. We'll get you.
I am the secretary scheduler. I will get
Of
you.
the snap, you're the ninja, tricky ninja.
There's so much to cover, hours and hours of discussion that I think brings so much value to the community, the audience that listens. And right now is that time of year when dudes are
Thinking about
they're
They're
about
getting
fitness.
ready.
They're
for
focused on
hunting
fitness.
season. Yeah.
And
I call it the summer drive.
one thing that's about anything that you, whether it's exploring new country, whether it's hunting or just skiing, or a lot of us have some passion, the outdoors.
Sure. Yep.
And that helps us get out of bed to push ourselves in someplace like this to be better, to live better.
Yep.
Yeah.
And and so we have a big audience of people who want to perform. They don't want their fitness to be the thing that stopped them from getting that big bull elk or achieving that goal.
Yeah.
And so they're out there putting in the time. They're motivated to put in the time. And I challenge anybody out there who is listening, find that passion that you have and use that to help you get into someplace. And if you can find a community like what is here, that makes
explore
all the
other
easier.
Communities too. They're out there wherever people are. Everybody can't come here, but you can explore other gyms. And the first time you go might not be the gym to go to. Just keep exploring until you find your tribe or people. I don't want to sound cliche, but your people are out there.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Well, I just want to show to you guys like my appreciation for coming here.
Same.
Teaching me, because I'm like, I'm not a CrossFit guy, but I like the environment. Because it's not a gym environment.
Good.
And I like the community. And so I'm excited to further my health and fitness journey.
You're always welcome.
I swear to you, at Happy Valley, we just came down. My Happy Valley workout was 4 hours because I'd hang out, we'd do a workout, then we'd lift weights, and we just josh and we'd hang out because it was like church, man.
Well, as Brian has worked out for 20 years, I'm like, hey, there's hope that I can become a badass in the fitness journey. Like I crush it in the mountain. I know that. Like that's my niche. I have a passion for it.
I think. For Brad and guys like Brad and in Brad's position, the risk is there is a difference between, being young and athletically, cardiovascularly, for example, fit, and being injury resistant. You can be fit and on the edge of injury
For sure.
Because cardio and fitness, in fact, I think puts you prone to injury if you don't have a really good foundation when it comes to the deadlift and the squat.
Well,
and
that's what I was going to say earlier when Brad was talking about when the day after you worked out and you barely feel it. The art behind programming isn't, if your red line is here, we shouldn't be in here. We should just be barely sore enough where we can operate tomorrow and do whatever we want.
And that's exactly
so
what
many.
The
gyms aren't like that.
And come back. Get there, come back.
They think if they're not sore or
I've been trying to go to some other CrossFit gyms, and the end result is I get so wrecked because of the programming that I'm like, this is not really helping me. It's putting me back.
Yep.
And so I ended up just looking at a schedule and picking a workout to do with the community. But then the community isn't really there. You know, people are like, hey, and they're for some reason it's not like cheers. So and
it can't be anything but that here. I don't let it be.
We actually almost named this CrossFit Cheers.
and I have a logo. Your sister kind of stole it. It's on the hat. It looks like Cheers.
Yeah.
The lettering, and I'm like.
But that's exactly like we said earlier. That's what we're after. That's it. The community is the most important part.
I love it. All right, let's wrap this up. You got more people in the gym here.
Yeah.
You got to hit it. We got to get back to work. Thank you for tuning in, folks. We appreciate you supporting the show. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Leave us a comment below. Ask us any questions. We'll get Keith and Shelle on again, even if we have to tie them up and lock them down. So thanks again, and stay gritty.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.